Thank you very much, Mr. Mangicho Mola. I'm excited actually to be here today at Power Play at MBCI, and I'm very happy to speak to viewers of MBCI Power Play. It's important to mention that even as we speak about the Mount Kenya region, and the Mount Kenya region is a big region, not because of the geography of the mountain, but because of the population of the mountain that traverses the entire country. When you go to Lamu, there's a very strong representation of people who originally came from the mountain. You go to Trans Nzoia, they are still well represented. That is inside the Rift Valley. Lamu is inside the coast. When you go to Narok, they are still there. You go to Kajiado, the mountain is well represented. So this is one community that is so populous, that is so widespread, and if it was to unite for purposes of the community or for purposes of better governance or changing the leadership of this country, this is not going to be a joke. It is going to be a big thing, and it is certainly going to sway the election results. Even when you talk about Nakuru, some of the areas that will probably be dominated by other areas, by other people. For example, Kuresoi North. When you go to places like Sirikwa in Kuresoi North, there is a marked population of people who originally came from the mountain. But on a serious note, the reason why probably President William Ruto is going to lose the population from the mountain is not because of Rigathi Gachagua, who's been impeached as a deputy president. Is going to lose the mountain because of two main reasons. Number one is the promise to subsidize credit, the promise to expand credit facilities to the hustlers, to the business people in big towns, in small towns, people in the informal sector, people who have difficulties accessing cheaper credit from banks, from SACCOs, from small and micro loaning institutions. These people were promised loans. They were promised about 50 billion shillings in terms of Hustlers Fund, which would make sense to the business. See what the government of President William Ruto has provided instead. It has provided 500 shillings, it has provided 700 shillings. What kind of a business would a person who is in the informal sector, a person who is running a hardware, what would 500 shillings make your business to be? What changes would you be able to effect? What capital is that you can inject as 500 shillings into your business? So on this, I think the President of the Republic of Kenya, who was very heavy on promises to the hustlers, and promised very clearly in no uncertain terms that he would expand credit, he would make it cheaper, and he would make it to be very accessible to the hustlers, to the small people. This one has not been delivered. The Hustler Fund that we are talking about, where you can borrow 500 shillings, is a joke for any serious business person, unless he's advancing people small monies for lunch, for breakfast, such kind of things. It cannot be for business. That is number one. Number two, whereas there is enhanced taxation, you have the affordable housing, you have enhanced NSSF contributions, you have enhanced contributions going to what we now call SHA, that is the Social Health Authority, or the Social Health Insurance Fund, SHIF. There has not been concomitant increment in terms of income for those who are in employment. There has not been any enhancement of income or prices for tea, for coffee, and any other products, any other crops that are planted for cash crops in the country. There is no money literally across the country. Cash flows have gone down, money in circulation is very limited. But a few friends around the president, people who do not run any serious factory, people who do not run any factory, people who didn't have money before 2022 are moving around with tons of cash. Where are they getting this money from? That is to say, in other words, we've seen people around the president stealing and looting from public coffers, playing cartelism, and extracting money from state coffers, which they take around, and that is why the Catholic came out and rejected contributions to church from some of the government functionaries, including the president. So there's a failure of the Hustlers Fund. That promise has not been delivered. And then you've seen blatant corruption. You've seen flagrant looting of public coffers by friends around the president. As I've already said, the removal of Rigathi Gachagua is neither here nor there in the mountain. When you go to the mountain, people are displeased because the economy is not doing well. People are displeased because the promised 50 billion shillings as last fund has not been delivered. And then you can see a few friends around the president carrying tons of cash around, which is a symptom of corruption. It's a symptom of looting of public coffers, because these are people who do not run any factories. On the contrary, I don't think Kenyans across the country are happy about the president. I don't think they are happy about the government. The maize farmers who benefited from the subsidized fertilizer are now struggling to dispose their produce. We thank God we've had very good rains. We are grateful to the government we had subsidized fertilizer, but the pricing of the maize which has been produced now is troubling, because if you have to struggle to sell a bag of maize at 3,500 shillings, Mr. Mangicho, Mola, maize farmers will tell you certainly that this is a drop in the ocean. They are going to run into deep losses. These farmers are not happy. So if we have to subsidize production, and I think the government takes credit for this, you also need to cushion farmers against the forces of demand and supply, which would push them down. And in the long run, they produce more, but fetch very low prices, and eventually they do not make any profit. That is the problem now that maize farmers have in this country. Of course, one advantage that you would have to enjoy because of the subsidized fertilizer and the enhanced rains across the country is that we are going to have a reasonable production of maize and other food crops to cushion us against things like hunger. We are not going to have any serious shortages in 2024 as a country. But as I have said, that is just a facet of the production that we are talking about. People do not have monies in their pockets. Maize farmers are not making any profit because they have to struggle to sell a bag of maize at 3,500 shillings. If you borrowed money to plant maize in Narok, in Uasin Gishu, in Trans Nzoia, you are not making any profit. And then again, as you struggle to get a shilling or two, you see a few friends in this government who are cutting away millions of money in cash, donating in churches on a Sunday more than the salary they would earn in an entire year. One person donating a salary that they would be earning in 1 year, donating in one occasion. This is what has infuriated not just the mountain, but the entire country. The other thing, of course, is the issue of the projects that are being implemented by the government without sufficient public participation and depleting the pockets of Kenyans. When you consider that affordable housing levy, which is now the Affordable Housing Act of 2024, has no connection with the contributors. You contribute money, Mr. Mangicho, Mola, and viewers of Power Play. So much money. Pay slips are now being slashed down by about 50%. These houses are constructed across the country, but there is no relationship between you and those houses. You do not enjoy any priority when it comes to purchasing them. How do you feel? Kenyans are disenchanted because they are being forced to fund projects. There is very little measure of accountability. There is no connection between you and those projects that are being initiated. This force enhancement of NSSF contributions, it is a saving, but what is the interest rate? We need to be told that the interest rate is higher than what SACCOs are offering. Some SACCOs are offering returns of about 10%, 16%. What are the returns from the NSSF that we are investing in? Are you deducting money from the people to go and invest in some projects that the government is running, and then you return a miserable interest rate of 6%, 3%? The government should explain more why NSSF contributions have to be enhanced. If you have to force people to pay more for SHA, that is the Social Health Authority, and we need a vibrant health sector in this country, then we have to ensure that dispensaries have sufficient medicines, sufficient medics, facilities are functioning, and doctors, nurses, clinical officers, and all the medics across the country are not on strike. They should be happy, they should be satisfied. These are not the things that we are seeing. One thing that I will tell you, Mr. Mangicho, is that we have a president who is extremely energetic. Some people say that our president doesn't sleep. So we suffer an advantage as a country for having a president who is very energetic, a president who is full of moxie, a president who is younger. The president is still in his 50s. It is an advantage that we have. This is also a president with good presence in the social media. This is a president who moves around the country. So he has a touch. He has a feel of the country. That is an advantage that we have. What we do not have is a truthful president. What we do not have is a government with a president and advisors who are truthful to the needs of the people. I say this because we are in a country where we bring a company called Adani Group of Companies. We want them to take over Ketraco, deal with issues of energy across the country. We want them to take over very critical, sensitive state assets like Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Adani Group of Companies. These are serious investments. Energy and airports are security issues. They touch on the security of this country. But what do? We go and import a very shady company, a company with very shady directors, people who've been indicted in the United States of America, and then we tell the world that we've done due diligence. What happens subsequently? Subsequently, we are shocked. The world is shocked that these companies, which have been endorsed by the president himself, and no less than the former Prime Minister Raila Mola Odinga, they have endorsed them and they are saying this is the best that we can have. We are even told that this is a company related to maybe some Prime Minister of some big Asian economy. But this is a company that thrives on bribing people. When you bribe people, when you bribe state officers to get business, it means the quality of business that you are going to offer for certain is going to go down because you have to recoup the bribes, and we are talking about billions of money. So what I am saying is that we have a government that believes very little on integrity, a government that espouses very little on integrity, and that is why cases in court, serious cases about economic crimes, are being withdrawn. Serious cases about forgery by state officers are being withdrawn left, right, and center by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, because that office also does not espouse integrity and good governance. So to answer your question, Mr. Mangicho, we have a very energetic president who has the barometer of the country because he shuttles across counties in this country. But we do not leave the truth of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on good leadership and integrity, good governance. We are playing ping pong with integrity. We are playing ping pong with good governance, and that is why the president and this government continue to lose trust by the day from the people of Kenya.
Sure.